Good morning. Morning Oasis time. Just knocked over my little people. Coming in. Headphones. They do seem to help though. They seem to help with all the other sounds and everything. So, good morning. Welcome to Morning Oasis time. I am just getting started. Let's see. I was playing my guitar, so ran a little bit late on that. How are you guys this morning? Today is Q&A Friday. So today is the day where it's all about whatever you want it to be. So good morning, Nivian. I am doing card pulls today. I kind of feel like doing card pulls out of my new deck. Good morning, Cheryl. So I think one of the things that kind of popped into my mind, and you guys tell me if you want to do this or not, I thought it might be fun to do like a full spread, a full reading. Oh, thank you. Where we are, it's like for all of us, like a joint collective reading for where we're at and see how much this relates to everybody. I thought that could be a fun thing that we could do. We are wrapping up the week of, obligation relationships. So if anybody has any questions about all of that, you want to do that, Nivian? So if anybody has any questions about the week of that, you'd love a card pull. Good morning, Michelle. So what I was thinking is we could do one big, so if like everybody kind of wants a card pull and wants to do it this way, where it's one big spread, I can move the iPad and have it look at the spread and talk about the spread, and that could be how we do our morning pull. I just thought that might be a fun thing to do. I want to see if more than just one or two of us want to do it before I commit to that. Oh, interesting. And the sun card just popped up. I'm sitting here shuffling my cards. The sun card popped up, and it's the sun, right? So joy and reunion and coming together in the light and the full completion and all of that. So, maybe we should just do that. Okay, so I think I will. Let's start with morning announcements. We don't have too many of them. It does look like, you guys, the Healing Path Walker Psychic Fair is gonna be a go. We have 9 amazing people. I mean, I'm talking like, well, you guys already have met Brian, but we have so many others that are simply amazing. We've got Sandy, who is a brilliant artist, and she does hypnosis therapy, hypnotherapist, and just a wonderful woman. I absolutely love and adore her. We've got, God, who all do we have? Teresa, who reads runes, but she's also so much more than that. She works with the dead primarily, and she has just an amazing awareness and gift at pulling information. We've got Shauna and myself. We've got, gosh, so many. So it looks like it's a go. It looks like it's probably going to be, and another card just fell out. It looks like it's going to probably be the weekend after. Oh, interesting. The weekend after the solstice. So it'll be that Saturday, and we're going to be doing it in McMinnville. So it's a little bit outside of Portland, which I kind of like. I kind of like us getting into a different area and doing it in a different way. So the other card that just fell out is the King of Swords. This is such an interesting King of Swords card. The King of Swords, of course, he's one of those kings that is cutting, right? He's sharp. He's intelligent. He's concise. He's not going to be one that talks about his emotions. He might even be a brooding gentleman, and yet he takes care of he's the warrior king. He's the battler. Right? Interesting. I wonder what that means. Let me just feel that for a second for that coming up. Well, we are kind of fighting to have a different sort of space that is separate from yet a part of this spiritual community, right? So I know I've had to do a little bit of fighting to get there and had to pull my Queen of Swords out in order to protect myself and my rights. Anyway, okay, so morning announcements. We'll finish those. I'm kind of all over the place this morning. I actually am just going to throw this out there. Last night, good morning, Christine. I was not feeling very good. I had like the best day all the way up until early afternoon. And then all of a sudden at early afternoon, my legs hurt really bad. They were swollen. My feet were swollen. Good morning, Alex. It was the most intense pain. And I've been struggling with my knee. I've been having some knee pain. And I know that this is about my own rigidity of beliefs and not wanting to move forward with them and not sure how to be flexible in this particular way that I struggle with. But man, was I out yesterday. It was lame. And then I tried to cook and everything I cooked got messed up. Like my pasta didn't get cooked all the way. A lot of it like clumped together and it was awful. And then I made I made bread pudding, which came out okay, but I made a whiskey sauce and I tried a different recipe and it called for eggs in it. And that was the worst idea ever. I have scrambled eggs in caramel is basically what I have. It's horrible. Anyway, enough of that. Morning announcement. So this morning I'm still kind of a little bit off. But we've got the special that Shauna and I are running till the end of the week where we are doing 2 for the price of 1 for sessions. Good morning, Adrian. We are doing those just until the end of the month. These are kind of like a spring cleaning session. You know, Shauna, you guys know how I work, and Shauna is very much, she pulls that angelic energy, and she's gifted at channeling that energy through the vessel and finding where there's areas that are stuck and just flowing that energy through it, which allows so much more to come up to be worked on. Yeah, Michelle, it was like everything I tried to do. I did actually, Adrian and I got together and I did record my second set of meditations, which we're doing a 3-part meditation trilogy set. And so the second set I completed yesterday. Thank you, Adrian. She came over and helped me record. It was awesome. And after that, everything after that was a disaster. Like, I just wanted to crawl into bed, and I actually did. I crawled into bed at like 10, which is kind of early for me. The other announcement is Shauna is doing her very first event on her own. Yay! It's called Tea with the Angels, and it's at Shauna's place. I think she's doing her tickets for $20, and you get like tea or drinks. She's making treats. You'll meet at her... Oh, interesting. You can't see the live feed. Huh. Try going out and coming back in, Christine. Sometimes that helps. So yeah, she'll be doing tea with the angels, and she's offering for each person to bring in one picture, and she will read the picture for you. And then, of course, if you want a session with her reading, a series of pictures, that's also an option that you can do too. But that would be separate from the tea. Let's see. So I think that's all the announcements other than the normal. There's chakra workshops out there. The Life Mastery series is out there for you guys. I am going to do it. I got so many people saying, yes, we're going to do one big reading, one collective reading for all of us. Okay. So you might see my cord in the way while I lay this out. I'm going to put it on my desk, which beautifully is clear. And that's kind of a rare thing. Here, let's see. Move all this stuff out of the way. Okay. So one of the reading that I love to do most, and this is the spread that I use for the full readings. Like if you were to come to me for a full 30-minute reading, session. This is the spread I use, and it's called the Alchemical Cross It's a lot like the Celtic Cross, except for that it has 3 cards to illustrate the main issue that it's going to be going around, and then it has 3 cards as the completion, where in a traditional Celtic Cross read it would only have 2 cards as the introduction and 1 card as the kind of future forecast. And I also do a shadow card as well, so that's the difference. So let's get this deck ready. And we're going to the intention that we're setting for this spread is this is for our morning Oasis community. So this spread is going to be for all of us and coming together as a community, and we'll see what it has to tell us about all of that. I've never done this before for a group, so let's see. It's curious. I ended up reading for myself the other day, and it became pretty clear it was actually for Shauna and I both, so I had to call her and be like, I have a reading and it's for both of us. So let's see. here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn it around. So you guys are going to see my desk. Let's see, does it reorient? No, it's not. Okay, so I have to, here we go. Remember where the camera is. This is so different. Let's see. I'm going to try to make it so it's not nauseating for everybody. But okay, so we have our first 3 cards, which are going to be discussing the main issues that we as a community are going to be facing. So the very first card is the 7 of Cups, and because I'm still learning this deck, I love to be able to, I know, right? These are my new favorite cards, Alex. They're absolutely amazing, and I really love them. Okay, so what she says in here for this 7 of Cups card: a woman dances at the mouth of a river. Behind her sits a white gold fish who has its mouth open. The woman begins to wrap herself with gold clothing, and chalices pour water back into the river. The woman steps forward out of the known waters. She knows nothing about where she's going and what she will face. She wraps herself up to protect herself from the unknown, and the fish behind her must make a decision on whether it chooses to stay with the woman and die or go back into the waters to breathe. This card tells us it's time to make life-impacting decisions, and to do so carefully, making the right choice, assessing your needs, and bringing them into alignment. Well, what this makes me think about is we all are kind of facing this choice of how, oh, that's where the camera is. I'm like, where is that camera? So we're all facing these choices about where we want to go, what we want to do, how we want to show up in our lives. I know this is so shaky. I wish I had a better stand for it. Anyway, so the second card is the 2 of Cups. What I find interesting is all of this is about the cups. Right? So, and the cups suit is all emotions and feelings. So I do think one of the things that we are collectively dealing with is our own feelings and emotions. And we do a lot of that work here in the Oasis as well. So the second card is the 2 of Cups. And here they have 2 lovers hold each other's hands as they join in their lives together. Although they do not share the same skin color, they see into the heart and soul of each other and know that they have met their match. Well, that sounds like us, doesn't it? Maybe not as lovers, but we are definitely a collective that are coming together and finding our resources and our people. As a result of their openness, they decide to join their lives together in ceremony. The challenge is to keep the lines of communication open and to learn how to grow into their love. They have each other to lean on, and the chalice helps nourish each other. This card tells us that when we allow our heart to guide us into relationships, the bond is everlasting. Perfect love, harmonious relationships, matched, balanced, base, and mutual trust. Hi, Shauna. We're doing a collective reading for everybody. Okay, so, and the last card is the Ace of Cups. And so also, by the way, this really indicates being on a new journey, right? Being in the start of a journey. Sorry about all of the shakiness. It's hard. This thing is heavy. Okay, so Ace of Cups. A woman dives down into a shell rising up from the ocean. This card asks us to trust in what we are doing. The woman dives headfirst into the shell naked and does not know what will happen to her once she reaches the shell. She trusts that her needs will be taken care of. The shell is the recipient of her trust. The message inside this card says that we should trust in ourselves and allow the world to see who we are. Now, how I would read these cards, and I'm going to continue with the spread, but we're going to just talk about this part of it first. How I would look at these cards is the Seven of Cups is really about time to make a choice and decision, and recognize that this is a choice that's going to take you out of your element, right? Take you out of your element of the water, the subconscious thinking, and into the light, into the day, into the conscious realm. And it's also going to be a card about partnership, a card about coming together, bringing in the two separate individuals and into one, into a unity, and coming in together to create a space in which we can dive off, which is hilarious because that's kind of our, your feed went into a loop. Oh God, that's so interesting. Well, so we're looking at this part and how it's really saying that, you know, in Healing Pathwalkers, one of our little, you know, sayings or phrases is that we want to build a platform for you to dive into your own divinity. And that's really, you know, she's driving into a shell, which represents infinity in a lot of respects, especially that kind. I don't know why you guys are having so much trouble with the feed today. There must be a lot of energy in the air. Okay, so now we're going to look at the past, what we've come out of. One of the things I also love about this is with these round cards, their orientation, you know, I've always read whether it's up or down, negative or positive, blocked or flowing. So I love that these cards are fluid in that. And it's really like, you know, coming down. So this is some of us have a hard time letting ourselves dive into this platform. You know, the Ace of Cups can also represent just a sense of a new way of feeling about things, a new subconscious, a new thought, a new stream of allowance for the self. The feed is stuck on iPhone, but I'm able to stream on my computer if that helps. Interesting. When we allow, it just kept repeating that. That is interesting. Wow. Well, looks like a group reading is just what we needed. So here we have the Four of Wands. And I'll try to bring that down so you guys can see it a little better. And again, I love to start with what the author wrote. Three women enjoy each other's company as they explore the wonders of the forest. One woman kneels on the ground of the forest, resting her hand on her belly. Another sits in the rock, watching her companions. The last girl is standing, holding a creature in her hand. They are encouraged by a ring of toadstools. These women know the value of exploring one's surroundings. They take note of what is nearby and like to examine the particulars a bit more. Their challenge is to be careful of coming across any harmful flora or fauna. The message of this card suggests that we should all take joy in the little things that life offers. Celebration, joy, enjoying the wonders of life, and examining things deeper. So I think that all of us have taken this time that's brought us here, really, to understand these subtleties and the nature of which our surroundings are. And that's what brought us into a union together, is really that quest for a deeper understanding. And I definitely think that's something that's echoed here in this morning Oasis group. Oh, I love this card. Okay, I love this card. I'm going to just show you guys this card. This is the Two of Swords. Now, for me, the Four of Wands also really just represents joy and celebration. So I do think that has a representation for us of, you know, how joyous it is to be able to be in a collective that feels so similarly, that thinks so similarly about things. So the Two of Swords, a woman lays on the head of her elephant holding her sword out to protect the creature. They blend together, almost creating a new creature. There we go. The Two of Swords tests our will to decide. Will the two companions fight a foe, or will they flee when faced with danger? The sword acts as a weapon as well as a defensive barrier to the unknown. The bleeding of the woman the blending of the woman with her elephant gives her the element of surprise. This card teaches us that every choice has a consequence and we need to defend that decision. So another way that I look at the Two of Swords is that it's really about being kind of torn between two choices, two decisions. So it sounds like a lot of us feel like we're kind of caught up in a choice or decision of some sort. And that's going to be coming. And I have a feeling what that really has to do with is making a decision or choice about how you want to show up in this space, in this group, in this collective. How much do you want to share of yourself? How much do you want to let go? How much do you want to change your ideas and beliefs into an allowance state? That's kind of what's popping in for me about that. So we'll move these a little closer so we can get more into this read. The next card is a foundation. What's the foundation of this reading? And by the way, this is kind of, it's not totally blocked. It's not totally upside down, but it's kind of. So if you're struggling to really make a choice or decision, just recognize that allowance is going to get you there much quicker and easier. The Ten of Swords is the foundation. Interesting. I haven't seen this one yet. That's an interesting card. Look how many of those sword hilts are broken. A fairy whose body has been torn falls out of the sky. Wisps of smoke waft into the air, and it appears a battle has been fought and lost. The fairy is challenged with their demise. Not having the ability to fly, it falls down to the ground. Broken swords lie in the path. There's no hope, only release. The fairy looks down in anticipation of the ending of the fall. This card suggests that when we fall from the darkness, we are ready to greet the next stage of our journey. A phase is ending, falling, and failure. So I think that one of the things that brings people here to this space, honestly, is that they have had so many negative experiences in other spiritual communities. And it tends to feel like a battle to be able to express oneself. This is an old pattern. This is a foundation that we're moving away from, I believe, personally. And I think looking back at where it says there's no hope, there's only release, it really is time to let go of all of that karmic debris of how we used to have to fight for every little thing. Because this is definitely a space where we don't fight. We just allow. And what's kind of hanging over it, the overarching issue or struggle or challenge to it, wow, that's a really interesting card, is the Five of Pentacles. Oh, that's interesting. The Five of Pentacles. The knitter is challenged with being able to keep their focus on the project they're doing. Esoteric symbols dance in the fabric, suggesting that this is a spiritual endeavor. There is no one around for the knitter to show off their process to, and it can be alienating to create such beauty when no one will see it. This card's lesson is to remember that what you do is part of something greater, and that will allow you to bring greater satisfaction into the world. Worry about finishing, alienation, and adapting to a situation. So I think that that's definitely something else that we have to keep in mind. That, one of the things I hear from just about everybody that I work with is how alienated they feel in their personal lives. How they feel like nobody understands them, they're the only ones that get it, and then they come into this space and they're like, oh my God, there's other people that get it, that understand what's going on. So we have to remember that we are doing a much greater work that we're not even aware of, even when we're in that isolated space. And allow that isolation to actually be, instead of a casting out, be a time of focus and work and dedication to this process. So here we have an overview so far of where we're at. This part of the reading is that central cross part. And it can also be like a wheel. We'll get into that in a minute. So let's see. This is where we find ourselves right now. And that's the Fool card. Love the Fool card. We are in unknown territory. We're at the very beginning of something completely new, completely different, and really having to just feel our way through it. Let's see what this author has to say about her Fool. I love how that, see the cat? I love that. It's so funny. A man dressed in brightly colored clothing stands at the edge of a cliff. He has a surprised look on his face. A cat bites at his ankle. Will he stay on the ground or fall off? The adventure has just begun. The Fool challenges our perceptions of what we think is true. This card dares us to stumble forward and know that we will not fall. The pack the Fool carries reminds us that we have everything we need with us. All we have to do to accomplish great things is to trust in the spark that pushes us forward and take a single step off that cliff. Right? I love how it's showing up. So I think one of the reasons this is sideways is I think one of our greatest fears that prevents so many from really showing up authentically is their fear of being the fool. But if we change the way we define fool from being a negative thing into being in a total state of allowance and trust with knowing we have what we need, then it's not something we have to fear being, but something we can embrace. And if we can do that, then we no longer are going to inhibit ourselves from doing our great work, right? Because that's what this is really about. Okay, so the next card is inverted, and this is the people that are around us. And this is the Knave of Wands. So let me look that card up. That's a really interesting card. It's kind of one of the reasons I read the description is because for me, when I'm looking at these cards, there's so much going on in them. It helps to see what the author was intending. All right, so no, that's not the Knave. There we go. All right, a shaman heads out to explore new territory. He wears the skin of a leopard. The two torches flame out towards providing light and protection on his journey. A snake slithers over his ankh near his feet. The shaman faces the unknown. He stands his ground and waves the wand out to face whatever comes in his path. The ankh is a symbol of eternal life. The snake represents resilience and doubt. The shaman's test is whether or not he can face what is coming. This card's message says to be bold and to be ready to overcome your fears. So, we're really afraid of what happens, what the people around us are going to think of us, how they're going to act towards us, how they're going to receive us. And if we're doing truly great work, we've got to let go of that fear. We can't allow the lack of acceptance of those around us to inhibit us from doing our work. We can allow it to, in some sense, guide us in knowing what work is most important to move forward on, but we cannot, a shaman can't live his life worried about what others think of what he is doing. He has to just keep moving forward and doing his work. So this next card is our hopes and fears, and I'm going to just kind of shift these all down just a little bit. So we've got plenty of room. We call this the column. This is the column. Some people call this the road with which the wheel is turning on. See how that looks? All right, so this next card is hopes and fears, and it's the Five of Wands. And this is about conflict again. We really are afraid of the conflict, of having to fight and defend our point of view and our perceptions. Let's see what the author has to say about the Five of Wands. I'm going to switch hands because that hand is tired. It's tired from holding this. This iPad is shockingly heavy. All right, two enemies meet in the heat of battle. A red phoenix holds a stick in its talons, and a manticore tries to keep his ground while being hit with the sticks. Interesting. Your feed keeps cutting out. Let's see, 3 more sticks lie discarded on the ground. 2 combatants seem to be fighting over territory. Neither wants to back down. The phoenix uses his advantage of light and flight and the sticks to get some strikes in on the manticore. The manticore does have a tail, and he lashes it out to knock the bird off guard. They both seem to be seasoned fighters. Who will win depends on how much energy they have left. The lesson this card offers is that nothing good ever comes from strife and conflict. Choose nonviolent means of solving problems. And, again, this is in our hopes and fears. We're so afraid of this conflict that we often won't say what we're being guided to say, what we are receiving in our channels. The more time you spend connected and grounded in morning Oasis time, in your own time, it's going to open your channels, and you guys are all going to be finding your intuition and your channeling information is growing. And if we are not sharing the channel, we are going to have all of that information held inside, which can definitely create issues with our throat chakras, with our third eyes, and we can no longer live our lives in fear of these challenges and conflicts. It's time to allow them to just move out, right? It's not blocked. We're not, not doing it, but we aren't fully doing it. So let's really embrace and move forward and recognize that the fear of the conflict is nothing more than that, a fear, okay? So let's look at what the next 6 months, 3 to 6 months have in store for us. All right, so first is the Two of Wands. And these ones we kind of read like a story. They all tie together. So I'll try to make it so we can see them all. But right now we're working at the Two of Wands. 2 people play with fire. They do so with their backs to one another. It's as if they're students learning how to control the flames. One girl looks over her shoulder to the other, and the 2 snails press their bodies together. Controlling the small fire is a challenge these girls face. One has dropped her fire to the ground, and the other still holds hers. Which one has better control? Each girl has a unique relationship with the fire. They could discuss what they're doing with one another, but they do not. This card suggests that collaboration can produce better results than attempting to do it alone. And that is definitely what we're finding it here in Healing Pathwalkers, is the collaboration is what makes it work. I spent 4 years trying to find my community, and when I really just allowed those who were already in my community to be it, it was a beautiful collaboration that occurred between Shauna and I. And we've been building this space together for the last, a little over a year now, I think. And that's really what's allowed it to grow, because, we see her, one's dropped the fire and one's holding the fire. Neither are getting burned, and neither are, their fire's not going out, but they're definitely handling it in 2 very different ways. And there's trust. There's a trust in that. There's a desire to observe, but there's also this trust. And the 2 snails facing each other below, I think, show that we can either allow each other to do our separate parts together, or we can come into unity and do them as one. Then the next card is the Knave of Pentacles. It's interesting. We've got quite a bit of knave energy, 2 knaves in here. And it's also mostly wands and cups. So it's our passion to create, our ability to grow and create things, coupled with our unconscious and subconscious thoughts and feelings, and also a little bit of the physical resources. So the Knave of Pentacles. An armed figure climbs into the center of a coiled snake. The snake watches with curiosity but remains curled. A pentagram hangs wrapped around the snake. The armored figure is focused on getting into the center of the snake. He wears the armor to protect himself from any attacks that the snake might hit him with. We do not know why he's doing this. From the look of the snake's eyes, he doesn't know either. His curiosity is a resource he draws on to learn about the snake. The pentagram provides a measure of protection, for it suggests that the snake is tame. The lesson he offers us here is that when you are learning something new, it's okay to place all of your attention on it. Right now, I think that for myself, my entire focus has shifted in my life from being really just being the housewife and kind of training into full training of energy work and consciousness expansion, healing work, and understanding how to grow this space for all of us. So I know for me, I've had to do this process, and I think a lot of people I work with tend to talk about how they don't have time to do the work. They don't have time to really focus in and do those resources. But the reality is, if you're really trying to change and shift your life, you're going to have to start making time and go all in, even if it doesn't seem to make any sense at all. Because you never know where you're really being led to. And the last card is the Five of Cups. Let's see. The starfish watches as 5 of its progeny grow and consume nutrients from their chalices. The water is dark blue. The starfish seems to long for the good old days. The starfish is being tested. Will he lash out at the smaller stars who are going about their own business, or will he help them grow and mature and survive? His size is a resource for him to draw on as he guards the next generation of his kin. The pots hold sustaining food, and once the smaller fish have had their fill, they'll be able to eat as well. This card's lesson tells us to look at the beauty in helping things grow instead of longing to regain your own youth. Do not be disappointed, a nurturing hand is needed. So really, we have to make sure that as we're coming into this collaboration space together, we are allowing ourselves to drop all the way in and recognizing that we're really nurturing something that's growing. We're creating something new together. And so recognizing your part in that, in this new creation, is so critical. So let's just look at this as an overlay. Another way to look at you can do this with the Alchemical Cross or the traditional Celtic Cross read. You can look at this as a great wheel that's turning. And it's turning in this way because the future is coming around and the past is moving out. And this is the road with which that wheel is turning on. And as the wheel is turning, it's hitting this bump in the road, the bump over collaboration and partnership. We're moving away from a feeling of coming together and just learning and looking and growing. And we're shifting into really doing the great big work and having a struggle for the isolated parts of ourselves that are feeling that loss, because what we're seeking is collaboration. Recognizing that this wheel is turning, and what it's coming into is we are going to need what we're growing in order to really truly learn and protect what we've built, and not just protect it, but actually move forward with it. The elephant is a mighty symbol of moving forward. There's nothing that can really stop an elephant if it wants to go somewhere. So it's really making sure that we understand this is a moving forward that's beyond us. It's bigger than us as individuals. So much of this is about coming together and collaboration, and it's really built around this center point, which is making the decision of moving out of our old elements, coming into this partnership, and so we can find a new way. One other way that we can look at the Alchemical Cross or the Celtic Cross is that this is an arrow. And this is the shaft of that arrow driving forward. And we're driving forward into this great work, this work of spiritual endeavors that we're working on. It's being driven by a release of our fight, of our feeling like we're in conflict with people. The conflict has actually driven us forward. So it's actually a gift. And we're guided by this quest to understand what's going on around us, as well as protect and defend the right to be able to do so, to move forward into this space. So these are some other ways, if you're doing readings at home, that you can look at this. And here's that full spread. The last card that I read is the shadow card, which when you cut your deck to do your read, that's the card on the bottom. Another one I haven't seen yet before. This is the 10 of Wands. Look at that. Is that not stunning? Oh my God, I love these cards. I just love these cards, I have to say. So let's read what the author had to say in the Ten of Wands. Best purchase ever, I swear. Okay, a tribe of people gather around the flame in ceremony. Symbols hover around them, spiraling into the fire that swirls in their center. The tribe dances in ritual ceremony. Will their offering prove successful? It is unclear in the card. The wands each person holds is a resource used to show their needs. The letters and symbols communicate these needs down to the fire. The fire is the center of the universe, a divine spark. The message in this card suggests that we should offer up our burdens to the divine, who will grant us release. So, really what we've got to do is recognize we are actually now in a collective tribe. We're all working together, and it's time to allow the fears, the anxiety, the hardship, the struggles that we've dealt with, our hopes, our dreams, our prayers, our wishes for the future, just put them into that divine spark, send them up into source, and allow that source consciousness to really process and handle it for us. And just keep doing the dance, moving, keep moving and holding your staff. Hold your staff that is your creation, your fire, your creative energy, because the reality is we are here together as individuals, part of a collective, but as individual expressions that bring something unique in each one. That's why every one of them is not doing the exact same dance. They're all doing different dances. So this is our reading, our collective reading for today. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. All right. Turn that back around. You'll have to forgive me while I put this back up. What a fun way to do a reading. I absolutely love doing that. That was awesome. And you can see I've got my selenite wand here. Okay, let's see. Let's get that positioned a little better. Move that over. So, I promised that today we would work on how to deal with those parts. 2 days ago, we did a meditation where I asked you to look in a mirror of judgment and to call up the people that you judge and that you view as being the problem in your life, or as having, created some pain for you, as conflict, however you want to use, whatever language you want to use around that. And I had you really look at these parts and asked you to see how the parts that you're judging about those people are actually the parts of yourself, the way you judge yourself, the way you limit yourself, the way you make yourself feel like you have to earn love or earn acceptance or earn value. And I had said that we would come back and readdress that, and that we would learn how to bring those parts into the internal, instead of having them externally expressed. So we have done this work before. We did this work we spent a whole week working on this, but it definitely felt like it needed to come up again. So let's go ahead and do that part in our meditation. Before we jump into it, I just want to say that when we are judging somebody, when we have anybody come into our life, actually, let's just take away the judgment piece for a moment. Anybody who's interacting in our life, anyone who is coming to us, is coming as a gift for us. They're coming to show us, to teach us, to heal us, to help us. And they're coming in. Oh, that's awesome that you're in Seattle at an astrology conference. Far out. Have an awesome time. Thank you for taking time out from that to listen. Wonderful. Welcome. So when we have somebody come into our lives, when it's somebody we want there, we usually feel grateful that they're there. And we're like, yeah, that's awesome. I love that you're here. But what we don't think of, we view them as being something separate from us, and that, oh, this person is so beautiful. They're so powerful. They're so smart. They're so good at this or that or whatever it may be. We never stop to think that that person is mirroring the same beauty and that we hold ourselves. We view it as theirs, and we couldn't be that. We couldn't be as good as they are. At least that's how I have done it in my life. So we tend to create this idea around that person of how amazing they are. And oftentimes, over time, what happens is we realize we learn the whole of that person, and we'll find some part about that person, and we're like, oh, well, they are great, but there's this thing. I don't want that in my life. And we ultimately end up rejecting them. Now, it's pretty uncommon for people in general to have friendships that last throughout an entire lifetime because of this need. So my goal is for all of us to see how even not only is the beautiful stuff a reflection of us, but so too is the judgment and the parts that we reject about them. Those are how we have judged and limited ourselves, and have limited ourselves from being worthy of being loved, being worthy of being listened to. And when we look back at the reading that we had, there was a lot of cards that were talking about fear of the people around us, fear of rejection, fear of not being received, fear of being judged, right? So if we have that fear, then that's something that we're doing to ourselves. We're actually judging ourselves. So how much time do we spend limiting what we're going to say or what we're going to think because we think immediately, how is this going to be received? How are these people going to take it? And that comes from not loving the part of yourself that shows up however you show up. So all that said, and again, I talked much more in length about this in the week that we did for Victimhood Week. And I think that was, I'll try to repost the first episode for that week so that you guys can go back and review it if you feel like this is something you need to work more on, especially if you missed that week of Morning Oasis or you're new to us since we started that. It's back in March, I think. I think it's like the first week or second week of March. And it's, I would definitely recommend it. That is the foundation of what I do in the Breaking Through Your Mirrors workshop, which is a one-on-one workshop where we work on these for people who are truly blocked and cannot move beyond it on their own and have tried to do the work on their own, and they just need that outside perspective. So we're going to drop into doing meditation. We've got about 13 minutes left, which is the perfect amount of time because I can already feel how grounded you guys are. You guys are all regulars now. It's awesome. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. While you guys get comfortable, relax into your space, adjust your body, really come into comfort. Yeah. Nivian, I would strongly recommend it. I would go back and watch some of those. Use your compass to determine which ones are the best episodes to watch. That's a great way to go back and catch up. Because this is a progression. We've been doing this since December, at the beginning of December, on a daily basis. There was only like 1 week that we weren't here and a few days when my son broke his arm. So, okay. Go ahead and make sure that you're sitting comfortably. I'm going to work on my screen for just a moment because it's not wanting to cooperate. There we go. And adjust your body, adjust your posture so that you feel like you're flowing that energy. We're going to just go ahead and invite Gaia to come up into the vessel as we breathe in. And exhale, release. Breathing in, inviting Gaia more to come into the vessel to support us in reattuning and realigning us to our physical expressions, to our optimum physical expression. Release. And feel that Gaia energy already expanding from the heart. Good. Breathing in, and we're going to call in Source and ask Source to come in and to bring us into higher alignment with ourselves, with what we came here to be, with our strand of expression, our individuation of that infinite consciousness. Breathing in, really allowing these two parts and aspects of the whole to come into us and reattune, realign. Good. Now I want you to imagine, you know how in a dance studio there's a wall of mirrors? I want you to imagine that you're standing in front of that mirrored wall. Ooh, yeah, that was big. See the mirrored wall and allow all of the expressions that are your externalized parts to show themselves in that mirror. They can wear the faces of all of those in your life they've come in, or they can wear the faces of you at the various ages in your life where you decided, oh God, if I'm like that, I'm not worthy of being loved. I'm not going to be accepted. I'm not going to be valued. I'm not going to be held. I'm not going to be protected. Call in all those parts of you and allow them to show themselves in the mirror. All aspects of yourself that you have externalized, that you have pushed out and rejected and said, no, I can't be like that, or I'm not a good person. I can't be a liar. I can't ever tell the untruth. I can't ever speak my full truth. Right? What are the parts that you've externalized? I'm not worthy of love if I cheat or I steal. Well, what if I'm starving? And what if I'm the loser always? I can't be worthy of love if I'm the loser always. What are the parts that you've externalized and decided those are not allowed to be a part of you? Recognizing that we are all things. Show themselves, allow them to show up in that mirror. Good. And see how already those parts, they may have started in showing up as somebody in your life, as some person that you've been exposed to or experienced. But many of them are already starting to transition into aspects of you, ages of you, parts of you. I'm not lovable if I'm angry. I'm not lovable if I'm bitter. So it's the bitter you, the angry you, the hurt you, the unlovable you, right? All these parts of you. Maybe there are different sizes and ages, different expressions, different looks. But allow them to continue to reveal themselves to you as you step into greater allowance to be all things, even those things with which you've once judged. Allow them to show up in their ugliest of faces, their ugliest of selves, their least lovable. Let them be exactly that in this moment, in this time, as you look at them. And as you do so, take note of the body, if it's feeling tightness or pain in any part, if there's any parts that are feeling discomfort or strain. Just imagine that you have a rose blossoming in that part. Allow that rose to be grounded and connected in the light as it opens and shines and supports you in facing this dark part of yourself. Recognizing that that's somewhere you store one of these aspects where they reside because they're stuck outside of your heart. I had the hiccups all morning. Good. Now I want you to look at each of these parts of yourself that are facing you in the mirror. And I want you to now look at them for what is actually pretty amazing. How strong they are, how resilient they are, how fearless they are to be that part, even though they're not accepted, even though they've been rejected. Continue looking at them and see that even though you have cast them out as an external, they keep coming back to you because their desire is to be whole with you. They're not afraid of your rejection. They're not afraid of your removal. They know where they belong. And look at the beauty in that too. Keep looking at these parts in the mirror that are facing you until all you can see is how amazing they are, how beautiful they are, how powerful, how much they have survived, the experiences that they had to face in order to be able to still survive and be here without the whole of the self to support them. Look at that and feel the awe and wonder at those parts. Continue looking at them until you realize you are looking at the superstar team, your team, and there's not any one of them that you wouldn't pick to be on your side, were you to go into battle, were you to go into the game. Recognize that you want that part that can get down and dirty and can fight when it needs to. That part that can lash back when it's been lashed at. That you need that actually. And that you don't want it to be out of balance with the love in your heart anymore. That you want it to be a part of you. So that you can defend when needed. That you can speak up when needed. That you can say the words that others might fear as harsh or cruel, knowing it's truth that must be spoken. See how these parts are your greatest allies in this world, in this creation, in your work. And now that you're beginning to see them in a slightly different way, and you're beginning to actually feel like, wow, I want that to be a part of myself. I want you to imagine that your heart is like a great big barn door. And I want you to open up that big door and ask them to please come inside, because I can't imagine doing this without you as a part of me anymore. Beckon them to join you in your heart because you love them and you're so grateful and you will never cast them out again. You want them to be a part of you, even that one little part of you that's so angry and so hostile, because you know that she's only that way because she's been robbed of the light, that he's only that way because he's been unloved, and that when he's balanced with love, he will be your strongest companion, your fiercest warrior. Open up that heart and invite them to come inside. And see how they're stepping out of the mirror. They're not just joining you, they're coming in. Let them in, all the way into the heart, as the heart grows even bigger. As you allow them to come all the way in. Feel them starting to radiate out from the heart through the vessel as that vibrational frequency begins to encompass all of you, all aspects of you. Allow their energy to radiate all the way out to not just your cells, but the space between your cells as you come into unity with all of yourself, no longer needing to externalize, no longer needing others to show you yourself, because you see all of you now. If you have parts that are still stuck in the mirror, that are still out there on the outside, continue this process with them. Continue looking at them until you do see them with wonder and awe and love and gratitude. Gratitude is the greatest allowance mechanism that makes it so that we can face our world, right? Even when we're grateful for the hard parts, for the pain, for the struggle, for the loss that we feel, then we are able to move forward and to carry forward what we've learned from those experiences and what we've grown in ourselves and our lives. And we can see that we've actually been building a foundation from which to show up in this creation as who we came here to be. And that every hardship has made you stronger. The sword doesn't cry every time it's stuck in the forge, and it doesn't cry when it's stuck in the water, to be tempered and brought into its hardness, to its purpose, honed and sharpened. Go ahead and stay in this state for as long as you choose. This is a powerful exercise. Thank you. I love you all. I hope you have a powerful and wonderful weekend full of joy and gratitude and love. And I will see you here on Monday. Bye, guys.